High school, a questionable time in most people's lives, and for Akama, he was only beginning it. As the others seemed full of excitement for their first day, Akama was creating a puddle of sweat beneath him. In class, Akama recalled his suffering in middle school and how he was so fearful of interacting with others that he'd flee upon contact with others. However, Akama dreamed of what he could be in high school, thinking that he could be the class clown rather than the class pariah. Coming back to the present, he began to question his choice of being extroverted, especially since he lacks the social skills to be someone like that. To add to Akama's woes, the girl beside him seemed to be adverse to conversing. As he wept in his seat neighbour, Kuroi, read a book, seeming to be ignorant to the world around her. Akama recalled Kuroi's name and commented on her refined attitude, seemingly ignoring the fact that she was a shadow cat. He noted how quiet Kuroi was and how disconnected from everyone she seemed to be. Taking a chance, Akama began to talk with Kuroi, commenting on how stressful the introductions are. Snapping violently to reality, Kuroi's burning eyes locked onto Akama, and he couldn't help but turn from her in fear. As Kuroi's eyes burned into Akama, he couldn't understand why she was glaring at him, as he only tried to talk to her. As he questioned himself as to what Kuroi was thinking, he also noticed that Kuroi's glare was akin to daggers. As Kuroi closed her book and seemed to join the unfolding situation, Akama thought that he upset her for disturbing her reading and decided to leave her alone. With renewed vigor, Akama decided that he still wants to be popular, and the best way to start that is to make everyone laugh with his introduction. When the teacher began to call upon Akama, he leapt from his seat with enthusiasm. Akama introduced himself, saying that he wasn't a good-luck charm, but he is a yes-man, so he can be called Bobblehead. Despite the determination, he was sweating like a stuck pig. Unfortunately, Akama's joke fell flat, allowing the whistling of wind to echo throughout the classroom. Akama began to panic, questioning what to do, all the while Kuroi squinted at him with judgment. Making a decision, Kuroi stood up and slammed her hands on her desk. Replicating a classic Japanese comedy trope, Kuroi hit Akama's hand, stunning him even further. Unfortunately, Kuroi's aid also failed, as everyone was stunned and silent at the whole situation. As the pair sat back down, Akama cursed himself for not only his intro bombing, but dragging Kuroi down with him, as the pair were drenched in sweat and embarrassment. As Kuroi began to overheat with embarrassment, Akama apologized to her, tears of failure pouring down his face. However, the silence of the class was broken by a single laugh from a student. To the amazement of Akama and Kuroi, they heard the class erupt into chatter, hearing some of the students commenting that the botched intro was saved by Kuroi and how they both worked well together as a comedy duo. The class broke out into an applause as they commented with their embarrassment and using a play on their names. The pair had earned themselves the nickname Red and Black Duo. In a wholesome moment, the teacher wished the pair luck and wished for them to get along well with everyone else in the class. Akama smiled and agreed, trying to laugh away the misfortune that he had just dodged. But as he did so, he realized that he didn't dodge it but was saved from it by Kuroi, causing him to turn to her while questioning why she would even save him in that situation. As he saw her, he noticed that she was blushing, but he couldn't see the grass from the trees, as he didn't know that she was embarrassed that the others were already pairing them off like a newly formed couple. But Akama just thought that she was good at interpreting signs, like a black cat, and maybe that's just who she is. As he vigorously shook her hand, her eyes grew wide, cheeks all rosy, and the beginning of their story was set in stone. During lunch, the class was chatting about going to karaoke, but questioned if Kuroi was interested and if she would even go. But to their surprise, Kuroi got all starry-eyed and gave a thumbs up, agreeing to go with everyone after school. After everyone had changed, the gang arrived at karaoke, ready to bond and have fun together, with Akama being the most excited for the event. Akama turned to see Kuroi, surprising him, but he was happy to see her all the same. He questioned if people would actually have the courage to sing, however it didn't matter much since he already had a plan for today. Once inside, the socializing began, with notably Akama and Kuroi not chatting to anyone, as they both seemed to be off in their own little world. As he was putting himself into the queue, Akama was trying to figure out the best song to sing. He knew that he needed a banger and felt the silent pressure weighing him down. Then it hit him, a popular band that he's known for a long time. He recalled their recent song Precious, and how it's top of the chart, so it's the best one to go for. Akama then dreamed of his success, thinking that if he nails this song, he'll be super popular and everyone would talk to him. As the song started, Akama got pumped up and got ready to give it all he's got. However, what came out of Akama's mouth was more akin to a banshee's wail rather than a suave, cool guy singer. The others looked on horrified at the spectacle before them, while Akama continued to wail the song. As he went on, he questioned why he was so high-pitched, as he was a pro in the bathtub. As he continued to butcher the song, Akama noticed that everyone was awkwardly ignoring him, probably to spare him from his suffering. As his failure hit him, he got embarrassed but continued on with a wavering resolve. As he continued to look around the room as if he was in search for a solution to his problem, his eyes landed on Kuroi, who seemed to be judging his performance. However, to his dismay, Kuroi began to stand up. Kuroi went and left the room, abandoning Akama in his time of need. Horrified, Akama believed that he was so bad that she could only do one thing: flee. Akama's voice began to weaken, realizing that he hasn't changed from his middle school days, and thought that history was repeating itself. Feeling that this was all a disaster, Akama decided that he should just turn off the music and sit back down quietly. However, before he could, the door of the room slammed open, and a surprise greeted him. Returning in Akama's darkest hour, Kuroi arrived, with a tambourine in hand, and a determined look on her face and in her posture. The entire room questioned what Kuroi was doing, as each one wore a puzzled look on their face. Kuroi, as mad as a Cheshire cat, began to play the tambourine with complete determination, and a speed matching the craziness of the situation. Seeing her in action, everyone yelped in surprise before questioning Kuroi and laughing at the surprise performance that she gave out of nowhere. Akama was starstruck, noting how perfect Kuroi's performance was and how her actions were an attempt to hype everyone up while he sang. It then hit Akama. He was the one looking worried and feeling down, and he questioned what the hell he was even doing right now. Now resolved by Kuroi's bardic inspiration, Akama then began to sing his heart out while she supported him. Akama decided that no matter what, he will have fun with Kuroi by his side, playing her heart out with the tambourine. As they ramped up to the end, they got a round of applause from the others in the group, who had started to cheer them on when Akama began to give it his all. Once they finished and sat back down, Akama got his wish, as everyone talked to him about the popular band Pink Headphones, and Akama finally had a normal conversation that he didn't need to flee from out of fear. During that lovely moment, Akama could only think that this was thanks to Kuroi. He found Kuroi so mysterious, and how he just can't read her at all, but what he did know was that Kuroi was a caring and sweet girl. To add to the mystery, Kuroi rejected the chance to sing on her turn, surprising everyone, and causing Akama to want to know more about her. Sitting in the classroom, Akama overheard the girls talking about Instagram, loudly commenting that they were surprised that Kuroi didn't have the app. The girls decided that they'll help her set up one, as they want to see her pictures. Akama was surprised that Kuroi agreed, thinking that he can't picture her on Insta in his mind. Kuroi noticed Akama's glancing and gestured with her phone to ask him if he wanted her Instagram contact. Akama panicked and explained that he didn't have an account, thinking to himself that he sucked at social media. However, he was persuaded to make one by one of the girls in class, thinking to himself that he needs to make one if he wants to be popular. Walking home, Akama noticed all the posts being shared, noting the activities that they were all doing together. He internally debated with himself, questioning if anyone would even care about his posts and if they would judge him if he posted scenic shots. As Akama questioned to be cringe or not to be cringe, he heard an alert from his phone, causing him to glance down at the new message. Everyone noticed that it was Kuroi's first post, a video. They all got excited to see what it was and opened it quickly. There were 3 videos. The first was of birds in the sky, the second was a cat that was not happy to see Kuroi hissing at her, and the third was a fence that she thought she could climb. The trio were confused by the videos, questioning why Kuroi would film all these things, but understood why she would film a cat, as she's just a girlie, so how could she resist? The longer that Akama looked at the videos, the more something clicked about it. And then it hit him. He knew why it was familiar. He recognized it as if it was a cat's collar cam, as her perspective was the same as a cat. A big surprise from a cat girl, I'm sure. As he came to that revelation, he found it adorable that Kuroi's outlook on life was like a happy little kitty. As Akama looked back on the post, he saw that no one was interacting with them. Worried that Kuroi would get sad from it, he resolved himself to do something about it. Akama decided to post like Kuroi, finding cats to take pictures of and walls that cats would want to climb. Seeing a bird in the sky, Akama went to take a picture, but a shutter sound from a phone beside him caught his attention. Turning to look, he saw that it was Kuroi, and she was surprised to see him. As the pair stared at each other, Akama felt embarrassed that she found him mimicking her and called out her name. Akama realized that recreating her picture style caused him to meet her accidentally, and the pair continued to stare silently at each other. Breaking the silence with a shaky voice, Akama began to speak about the bird they were both pointing their phones at. Akama told Kuroi that he wanted to take a picture of the bird, and that's why he's here, trying to connect with her. Shaking her head positively and giving a thumbs up, Kuroi was happy to be understood, causing Akama to blush as she looked so adorable. As he happily thought that he was right and now he understood her better, his thoughts were interrupted as Kuroi pulled him in for a picture. One of the girls saw Akama's post of the wall and commented to herself that it had the same vibes as Kuroi's posts. But once she read the title of the post, she finally understood why Kuroi's posts looked as they did. As she laughed at the realization, she saw that Kuroi had posted again, but this time it was a photo. The picture was a selfie of Akama and Kuroi, who commented that the picture was worth memorializing. As she looked cute and blushed, Akama was looking extra timid, blushing even more than her. The girls were stunned by the picture and believed that Kuroi and Akama were dating, and if not, at least on the path to it. Sitting on the side of the road, Akama blushed from the memory of the selfie, while Kuroi was sparkling with happiness from the picture she took. But in the end, he was happy that he guessed her thoughts right, and even happier that she could relate back to him, making her feel less lonely, and realizing that maybe their Instagram interactions weren't so bad after all. In class once again, the gang was lamenting the fact that it was raining heavily, so much so that they were trapped inside. Akama, seeing only opportunity, decided to take action to try and increase his popularity, offering a reprieve from the boredom with a card game called Millionaire, also known as Daifugo. Unfortunately for him, they all ignored him, making excuses or offering alternatives, causing Akama to panic. But he resolved himself to commit to the game, and then asked the silent Kuroi to join. Surprisingly, she admitted that she didn't know the game, so he offered to teach her, which seemed to interest the others to join too. Akama began to explain the game, telling the others the concept and the values of the cards first. He continued to explain the game, that everyone gets a rank as they play, starting with Daifugo, the millionaire at the top, and Dain Hin Min at the bottom, the Grand Pauper. He also added that the highest ranks and the lowest ranks swap cards, with the bigger the gap, the more cards they have to swap. Realizing that both him and Gaijin were talking too much, he finished the explanation and began the game. After the first round, Kuroi won and became the millionaire. The girls praised her, but she acted humble before everyone. Meanwhile, Akama became the pauper, the second lowest rank, devastating him. But knowing that he's not last, he thought that he could recover from this bad position. But then, after that, turn after turn, Kuroi won and won again, stunning the girls who questioned her insane luck that seemed to be on her side. However, Akama lost 3 times in a row and became the Grand Pauper. He was so embarrassed that he had to hand over his cards yet again, but as he went to do so, he noticed something. He noticed that Kuroi was looking more and more refined, like an elegant rich woman, hiding her face behind her cards. As Kuroi did the classic anime rich girl laugh, Akama commented that she was getting cocky and cursed her. Akama then groaned in his head over the situation, complaining that the added humiliation of giving his best cards to Kuroi was just awful. But then Akama noticed something else. Looking up at Kuroi, he saw that she had the aura of a princess with overwhelming power. With a gentle gesture, Kuroi summoned him to give his cards as tribute. Akama offered his cards like a royal tribute, noting that the gesture didn't feel as humiliating as he thought. One of the girls commented on how regal Kuroi looked, while the other boys said that he wouldn't mind taking Akama's place as Kuroi's loser. After another few rounds, Akama was still getting his ass kicked, and was expecting to lose to Kuroi again. But to his surprise, Kuroi was sweating bullets, causing even Akama to get nervous. As the game went on, Kuroi's wins became a distant memory as she lost time and time again. Then, finally, Akama won and became the millionaire, and turned to see what place Kuroi was in. To his surprise, he saw a disheveled Kuroi who had fallen to the position of Grand Pauper. The wreck that was once Empress Kuroi offered up her best 2 cards, while also asking for lenience, but Akama tried to reassure her. Feeling pity for the princess in rags, Akama offered a lean mercy, 2 average cards instead of his weakest cards. Kuroi seemed grateful for the cards, and Akama asked if they weren't too bad for her, right? Everyone laughed at Kuroi's act and decided that the new house rule is that the people must play their roles like Kuroi was. However, none of them expected Kuroi's treachery. All of them were stunned by the reversal that Kuroi played, not expecting these turns of events. Looking at the cards, Akama spotted the one he gave her and realized that's why Kuroi was so happy with the cards that he had handed over. Akama called his pity a blunder, not realizing that Kuroi was such a scheming cat, and lamented the fact that he gave her good cards and how he's just so weak at this game. Noticing that Akama was looking at her, Kuroi gave a cute and playful look, with her tail whipping with emotions and slight blush worn on her cheeks. Akama, caught off guard by the adorableness of Kuroi, instantly blushed. Looking at everyone in the group, he saw that they were all happy and thanked Kuroi for it. He also noticed Kuroi was super happy playing with everyone, and realized as long as they play together, it's always fun. One day at school, Akama bumped into Kuroi and asked her if they could head back to class together. As they chatted on their way, they were spotted by someone unexpected. A yell boomed out in the hallway, surprising the pair, as an odd-looking girl approached them, commenting that Kuroi was a kitty girl, and it was funny to see her here. They questioned who the girl was, but then it hit Akama. He knew this girl from the other class due to rumors. She was Shiramine Remi, a top-grade gal that all the guys liked due to her easy-to-approach attitude, and she had one defining trait. And that was, she loved cats. As he recalled that, he saw Shiramine latch onto Kuroi, gushing over her and commenting that she was so cute. Shiramine began to sniff Kuroi, loving the smell of Kuroi's fur that carried the scent of her basking in the sun. Akama, freaking out, questioned what Shiramine was doing, but she only told him that she was doing a little bonding via skinship, despite it being skin to fur. Akama began to argue the point, saying that her actions would freak anyone out, especially a cat girl like Kuroi. But he was silenced by hearing what he thought was growling, but it turned out to be purring as Kuroi began to affectionately rub against Shiramine. Shiramine, proud and playful, announced that Kuroi was loving this and actually likes being touched. She then declared that Kuroi won't be able to resist her specially trained technique that she was about to implement. Shiramine explained her technique as she was performing it, how that petting a certain spot in her head will make the jaw melt, and it worked. As this was happening, Akama couldn't help but notice that Kuroi appeared to be really loving the attention from Shiramine. Then Shiramine lifted Kuroi's shirt and began to massage her sides, and seeing that it also caused Kuroi to melt, she tempted fate and tried to rub her stomach also, which Akama tried to stop. Overwhelmed with the practiced hand movements, Kuroi was a blushing mess, and Akama could do nothing but watch. Akama then had an internal dilemma. Should he keep watching like he wanted to, or should he do something, as he questioned if this was an okay thing to do. It then hit him. Despite the fact that Kuroi is cat-like, she's still her own person, and she doesn't deserve this kind of treatment. Akama called Kuroi a great sport for putting up with all of this, but it wasn't right. But is he the only one thinking that? As he watched Kuroi and Shiramine, he believed that they matched on a different level, and they seemed to be having more fun with each other rather than Kuroi and himself. As these thoughts rushed around, Akama began to feel this odd fuzzy feeling welling up within him. Shiramine then offered Akama a turn at rubbing Kuroi's belly, and because she's not saying no, it's fine. Akama instantly rejected the notion, claiming that Kuroi would hate if he did something like that. However, Kuroi's face shifted into something more mischievous than normal, and she told him not to do so in a very tsundere way. Akama then fell deeper into this moral dilemma, questioning how normal this is and what the hell was he even supposed to do. But since it was Kuroi, he felt he should maybe do so, with Shiramine beckoning him like a little devil on his shoulder. As his head got fuzzier at the sight of Kuroi's furry belly, he reached out slowly and mentally pleaded for forgiveness. In a shocking turn of events, Akama managed to snatch Kuroi away from Shiramine, surprising everyone involved. Shiramine then began to tease him, saying that just like her, he wanted to see Kuroi in her cute kitty mode, and now suddenly his nerves seemed to have disappeared. Akama angrily told Shiramine to shut up, as despite her form, Kuroi's still a person, and a cute one at that. Akama then tidied up Kuroi and pulled her back off to class, leaving a stunned Shiramine behind. In her shock, she could only question what the relationship between Kuroi and Akama was. Shiramine then began to overflow with emotions, seeming to love the fact that she saw a romantic moment between Akama and Kuroi. She only realized through Akama's actions, but noticed that Kuroi seemed to be blind to his feelings towards her. Pulling out a journal, Shiramine grasped at thoughts and possibilities, wanting to know what happened next between Kuroi and Akama, and there was another side to her that no one knew. Shiramine was an aspiring manga artist and furiously began sketching the pair, wanting to know more and what happens next, as she needed more material and inspiration to produce more content. Meanwhile, Kuroi and Akama escaped, with the latter asking the former if she was okay. But Kuroi didn't respond, as blush filled her face and she was only looking at her hand holding Akama's. He was curious as to why she was acting this way, and was surprised that now all of a sudden she was acting embarrassed. Akama then realized everything that just happened, and his self-doubt reappeared, and believed that he acted incredibly rudely. Leaping away, Akama told Kuroi that he didn't mean what he said, but stopped himself, and corrected that he did actually mean what he said about her. Kuroi then began to act as playful as usual, and Akama began to calm down at the sight of it all. However, as Kuroi recalled Akama's bravery to rescue her from the petting attacks, she couldn't help but blush and twirl her hair around her finger.